Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Hey, I've had this car for 2.5 years now, and I want to give you an update on all the things that I've learned. The good, the bad, the ugly. So many channels are just talking about all the good things about Tesla, but they don't talk about some of the different challenges that you have with Tesla. And one of the first questions I always get is, can you go anywhere? Can you actually leave the city and go anywhere? And I'll talk about that. I've had this in rural Minnesota, rural Wisconsin, Tennessee, rural Indiana, a lot of different places, seen a lot of different things. And I'll talk about some of the different ways of getting through some of those challenges. Maintenance, repairs. You know, everyone's like, well, it's a Tesla, there's nothing to go wrong. Well, that's not true. Things do. And I'll talk about how the repairs work with Tesla and some of the costs associated with it, and all the different things that this car features. There's a lot of little nuances, a lot of little unique items that people don't always hear about, and I want to talk to you a little bit about that today and just give you some of the highlights. If you have any questions, drop them in the link below. You know, in the comments, I'll be more than happy to answer them. As you notice on some of my other videos, I always try to answer all the questions. And there's a lot of things with Tesla that are great. There's a lot of things with Tesla that aren't so great. And that's what we're going to discuss and get into some of the facts. One of the other things that I want to talk about is the white seats. You know, people are like, white seats, they'll never last. As you can see in the back, I have my dog with me every time I'm in the car. He's my trusty sidekick. He goes with me, and I've also got multiple children. Always seems to be dropping them off at some sporting event, whether it's football, baseball, volleyball, whatever. The car's seen a few things. It's experienced a lot of things, and I'll go over the car with you in detail. Now, the seats also haven't been cleaned since I got it, and there's a couple different ways of cleaning white seats, and we're going to do that today. We're going to try that and see how it turns out. So the first question, can you go anywhere? Absolutely. You know, the thing is, it's different from your other car. And is this car going to be right for everybody? No, it's not. And there's going to be people that are just going to want to pull up to a gas station, fill up, and drive off in 5 minutes and be done with it. Traveling with this, you got to have a little bit different mindset. And let me explain when I say that. Because when you charge, it's going to take you 20, 30, 40 minutes. And you got to plan for that, and you got to add into all those different features. With that being said, the last couple trips we've been on, they were 9-10 hour trips. The kids actually told me they thought the trip went quicker than it was when we took my minivan, the minivan. And the reason being is because we do stop. We're not pushing it so hard, and we usually plan it around meals, and we try to position it where usually when you're traveling and you stop, kids have to go to the restroom, everyone's gotta get up, stretch their legs. That usually takes about 20 minutes anyhow, even when we stopped with a minivan getting gas. And so the amount of extra time isn't that much greater, but the kids liked it because we'd stop and we'd throw the football around a little bit, we'd throw the baseball around a little bit. We weren't in a dirty gas station. A lot of the charging stations that they have are in like Myers parking lot, or you know, Menards parking lot, or some of the different parking areas like this. They're clean. You know, you pull up, you charge, you plug in, next thing you know, You're there for 20, 30, sometimes maybe 40 minutes, depending on how hard you pushed it. And you walk into the grocery store or whatever store is nearby. You take care of your business. A lot of times we'll buy some food. Usually there's restaurants nearby. We'll walk across the street, walk the block down, and get food. You can always tell and see what is nearby and what's around, and it's a real quick process. And a lot of times when we're walking back to the car, our car's already charged, it's full. So we've actually spent more time there than we needed to. Now let's talk about when you go places that don't have the superchargers. Okay, let's talk about the places when you travel and they don't have superchargers. Going to southern Indiana right now, they just put in a new interstate. There's no superchargers along there. Down in Evansville, there's really no superchargers down there. It's rural Indiana. Went up to rural Minnesota. I grew up there. Yeah, you know, you betcha. I've been gone for a while. Accent's gone now, but for the most part. Anyhow, when you go to areas like that, typically there's not superchargers, except for in major areas like Rochester, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Duluth, you know, some of the bigger towns. So when you go to the smaller towns, you got to get creative. So when you leave in the morning, you always try to have a full tank of gas, so to speak, you know, be completely charged up. So a lot of times at the hotels, if they don't have a charging station there, if you ask them, you'd be shocked at what they will do to help you charge your car. You know, they're like, oh, you got one of those electric cars? Hey, we've got an extension cord, we've got this, we've got that. I actually travel with an extension cord. So, that being said, you know, to me, I'm like, great, just find a plug-in. A lot of the light poles have plug-ins on them. You know, and before I plug in, I'll go to the front desk and say, hey, there's a plug-in next to this light pole. Is it all right if I just plug in? I have yet to have anyone say no. What they end up doing is they're like, what are you doing? You're plugging your car in? They'll come out, they'll check it out, they'll ask a ton of questions. So you gotta be ready for questions, because people are curious, but they will help you out all day. You know, they will do whatever they can to make sure, you know, you have a charge. Another thing, there's several apps, and I'll put the links down in the description about the apps, but there's a lot of apps that are out there that are free to use and will show you different charging places. And every person I've ever showed this app to, they're shocked at how many different places there are that you can charge your car at. Now, are they the superchargers, the super fast ones? No, they're not. Some of them are faster than just a regular plug-in, but are they the Tesla fast superchargers? They will show up on that list, but all the other charging stations will show up also. Great thing about all that is that you can get charged while you're viewing things, while you're exploring the different cities. Every time we go someplace, I'll just pull up one of those apps real quick and look around. Is there a charging station nearby? So you always kind of got to plan ahead a little bit depending on what you're doing. So with that being said, you know, take a look, and a lot of times there's usually one within a block or two. So yeah, I gotta walk an extra block or two from time to time. Could I use it? Absolutely. Does it kill me? No. But if that's not you, if that's gonna drive you batty, don't get a Tesla. Simple. Stay away. The other thing is, with the Tesla, is that when I leave in the morning, I've got 250 miles to go. My car is fully charged. You know, when I get in my gas car isn't full every morning. I can't, a lot of times it's a quarter of a tank. You know, so I got to stop to one of those smelly gas stations, pump gas. You know, that's one thing I don't miss at all, is having to stop and pump gas. The other thing is, do I use my auto drive, or whatever you want to call it? Absolutely. I use it all the time. Love it. Now, my little buddy back here, as you can see right back there, doesn't always care for it, because it will brake when a car is turning in front of you, and it just sees there's an obstacle and it starts braking. And so there's things with autopilot you got to get used to also, but that's one of them, is that if there's a car turning ahead of you, and normally where you and I would not even touch the brakes because you know he's going to be through the intersection in time, the car doesn't realize that yet, and it will brake, and it doesn't lightly brake sometimes, it will hit the brakes hard, and he comes sliding forward a bit. But you know, it's one of those things that you kind of got to get used to. And now when I see, for the most part, it's going to happen, I'll put my foot in the throttle and just kind of go through, you know, one of those obstacles. The other thing with traveling and with an electric car, sometimes you get some of the best parking spots. Some of the charging stations are right up front, and it's awesome. You pull up, plug in, you got a front row spot to wherever you're going. Parking garages, sometimes they're in the best places, sometimes they're not. You know, like I said, at the grocery stores, they're back in the back corner. Hardware store, sometimes in the back corner of the parking lot. You know, so a lot of times people don't even know they're there, because when they'll ask me, what do you charge? And I'll tell them, hey, so there's one over at Meyer, there's one over at this place, there's one over at this place. They're like, where? Look in the back corner. Sometimes you're even around the side of the building. I was down the other day and stopped at a place, Fresh Time, and it was on the back side of the building was the charging station. It was awesome, but they took them away some places where you just can't see them. But the great thing about it is, you go in, and by the time you're done shopping, your car is full. Now let's talk about maintenance. Do you have maintenance like you do in a typical car? Some things, but there's no oil to change. There's no transmission. There is, you have your tires. Tires aren't cheap. I replaced my tires earlier this year. The whole process, I think, was like $1,600. Yeah, for 4 tires. Insane. But they came right out, changed them. It was done real quick. Some of the other maintenance things that I've had, I'm trying to think. Oh, when I first got the car, the autopilot wasn't working. So I gotta have autopilot. Can't drive like this without it. But I called the number. They literally, over the internet, as I'm driving down the road, ran a diagnostics test on the car. They did that for the autopilot. They did that, say just had a car pull in front of me, put my foot on the gas, and the car beeped saying, hey, your you're gonna hit this guy. But sorry to digress. But yeah, they can check out and find out what's wrong with your car as you're driving. So they realized there was a problem with my hard drive. I came into the shop. They literally just did it all right there in the clean shop that looks like a showroom. Replaced the hard drive, and I was done. It was so quick, so simple, real easy process. A couple of things that have happened, just little nuances, little things that occur from time to time. You know, just call the phone number up. They literally just link into your car, and they're like, yeah, you need to bring that in, or, oh, let me throw an update at you. What? They literally threw an update to me because my software didn't update properly one time, and they just said, tonight, reboot your car, and we'll have everything set up. So that night, my car got the update. No more problems. And it's funny because my car updates more than my phone does. And it's comical because it's constantly got an update available. It's got one available right now. I didn't update it overnight. Need to, but I didn't. But yeah, there's constant updates coming to the car. And the great thing about it, we don't have to pay for these updates. It's January, and I got my annual thing for my minivan. Hey, update your GPS, update your maps. You know, pay us $200 to update this stuff. Tesla, it's all free. My maps are updated as roads are changing. This area that I'm living in is constantly changing. There's roundabouts popping up everywhere. There's all this stuff happening. And the great thing about it is my maps are updating as things are occurring, which is amazing. What are some of the other things about the Tesla? One thing that is hard for people to grasp, my wife, my children, different things like this, is that just because it says you've got 250 miles, does it, or 300 miles, or what have you. I've got the extended range, long range batteries, does not necessarily mean you've got 300 miles. Now, I just pulled into a parking garage. Let me back up here. Hope I don't hit anybody. But here on the first floor is the non-Tesla chargers. So this place has Tesla chargers. So I'm going to take you up to one of those. But those are non-Tesla chargers that you can still plug into and charge your vehicle. It won't charge it as quick as the Teslas, but when you're traveling and you can still plug into those. So many parking garages these days are putting charging stations in them. At universities, in cities, they're everywhere. And now in this garage in particular, the regular electric chargers are on the first floor, right by the entrance. Teslas are up on the third floor. And there's typically, there's 3 people charging right now. And let me tell you a little bit about charging etiquette. This is something a lot of people don't do. And let me explain some of the stuff here. Now, do we want to charge? Yes. Want to charge fast? Yes. Now, with that being said, don't pull up right next to another person charging their vehicle, because it will slow down their charging. It'll slow down your charging. So with that being said, just pull up, find a spot, leave a gap, and go ahead and charge your vehicle. With that being said, it's just a quicker process and everyone will be happy. A lot of people don't realize the whole thing, but here we are. And this is what they look like. Hey, this video is running a little bit longer than I anticipated, but I'm gonna make it part 2. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. And I'm a newer channel, so I appreciate that. And I'll give you more details. And like I said, we'll do the cleaning of the white seats, and you can actually see how they've held up without me cleaning them for 2.5 years now. And also all the other details and some of the other questions. But make sure you, any questions that you have, put them down in the comment section, and I'll be sure to either, I'll always respond to the comments, but I also might add them to the next video if more people have questions like what you have. Thanks for watching. Once again, hit that like and subscribe. And we'll see you back here soon.